Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's BAInsights session. I'm really pleased to have not only a special guest with us, but Afsar has kindly agreed to come along and present the rise of the data business analyst, which he presented at the recent BA conference. So with that in mind, I just want to thank Afsar again, and over to you, Afsar, really.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'll start with my presentation. I'm sure you can see my screen. Today I'm going to go through the topic about the data business analyst, the rise of the data business analyst. So this is something, as John just mentioned, I presented a few weeks ago at the Business Analyst conference. And yeah, I hope you all find it valuable. Okay, so before I start this presentation, I want to start with a quote. And the quote is as follows. Data is the new oil. I'm sure many of you have heard this quote. And you know, when you hear of this, you think, what do you think? You think data is expensive, data is valuable, right? That's what we were. And this quote is actually used quite a lot. It's so much so that it's becoming cliche. But the interesting part of this quote is what was said after. Okay. And that's what I'm going to just share with you. And I want to start with this quote. I want to start the presentation with this quote. So, like oil, data is valuable, but if unrefined, it cannot really be used. It has to be changed into gas, plastic, chemicals, etc., to create a valuable entity that drives profitable activities. So data has to be broken down and analyzed for it to have value. This was by Clive Humby, who is a famous mathematician, and he said this in 2006. And the reason why I read the whole quote out is because I think what people usually say is data is the new oil. But when you read when you read the full quote, there's a lot of wisdom to be found in that quote. Okay, so the agenda for today. First, I'll start with my own journey into, who I am and my own journey into becoming a data business analyst. Then I'm going to go through the importance of the data lifecycle in organizations. And then finally, after that, I'll go into why we need a data BA to deliver data projects and build data products. And then we'll conclude with some tips on how you yourself can become a data BA if you are interested in this field, and I'll summarize with some key takeaways. Okay. So, a quick introduction into who I am. My BA journey. I've worked in various organizations. My background is financial maths and economics. I initially started off in banking, so in Santander as a data analyst. Then I went on to UBS, where I was a finance business analyst. I was working as a business analyst across different projects. I worked at UBS for about 3 years. Interestingly, that's when I first became a contractor as well. And then I moved on to TUI. I had a brief stint at Amazon, and then I moved on to OneWeb. Currently, I am at Eutelsat OneWeb. This is a satellite company. They are providing connectivity all across the world, across various verticals like maritime, aviation, government, and they're also doing media, so broadcast media, and it's all through satellite technologies. And my current role, I'm a data BA / Scrum Master. So that's just a brief journey on how I became a data BA. Okay. So moving on. I want to start with this question, and it might be worth getting your answers, John, as we're live on this. So, why is data essential for organizations?
I think for me, I think data just provides that transparency and visibility on the story, really. So it can back up some assumptions. It can actually give us the ability to sort of drill into lower levels of information. It can help point us in certain directions as well. But it really just supports that picture, I think, that we're trying to paint.
Yeah, makes sense. So we always hear about organizations wanting to become data driven or when this, when there's a topic being discussed or a decision that needs to be made, we always hear, what's the data behind it? What's the data behind that, etc. So it's yeah, very good answer. Yeah. So the first part of my presentation, I'm just going to explore the importance of data for organizations, and I'll also go through the data life cycle and share some reflections on that. So, I want to start reflecting on how does what happens to data across organizations. Okay, so firstly, we've got data. Data turns into information, and then information turns into knowledge. Okay, so you may have come across this diagram before: data, information, knowledge, but it's just something to reflect on. Data. We'll start with data on the left. So data is just raw numbers, right? It could be facts or figures with no context. So an example of a data is the number -2. -2. It's just number. It doesn't mean anything, right? So how does that become information? Information is when we add some other data to it to give it context. Okay. So -2 can turn into information if we say it's -2 degrees Celsius on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. So we added, degrees Celsius to the -2, and then we added some date and time data sets to that. So then now it's information. We've processed that data. We've given it context. Okay. And then how does that information become knowledge? It becomes knowledge when we analyze that information and interpret it for a conclusion. So, based on that information, I decide that I should wear my coat. That's a decision that I've taken, and I've made a conclusion based on -2 degrees Celsius on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. So this was just a very simple example. Like, imagine there's a thermostat measuring -2, we've got how that data would turn into information, and then how that information would become knowledge. But the truth is, we're doing this multiple times in our lives, all the time, right? We're always looking at information and we're making decisions. But now let's look at how does that happen in an organization? Okay. Sorry, my screen's just frozen. 1 second. So think about that process: data turning into information and that information becoming knowledge. This diagram is just illustrating a typical organization. Yeah. So it's not like not every single organization will follow this pattern, but it's just a typical organization. When it comes to data, an organization will have multiple operational systems or external data sources. This is, capturing. This could be a booking system. It could be Salesforce. It could be, an in-house application that the organization has developed, or just think of a technology that can observe and capture data. Okay. Then, when that data needs to be stored somewhere. So that's where we have data storage, and then we move over to data engineering. Okay, which is, I can't point here. I don't know if I can. Do I have anything to point here? Can you see my cursor?
I can see your cursor moving around. Yeah, you can see it.
Okay. So if we go from so we're just following this. So we're at data storage now. So data storage is when we capture all the data from different external sources and operational systems. And then we have data engineering. Data engineering is where we will ingest the data, we will test the data, make sure that it's clean, it's high quality data, and then we would transform that data and put it into a format that we would like. So we would apply business logic, we might join it to other data sets, we'd clean it up, and we'd have a very nice, facts and dimensions or nice consumption layer. That's what we have here, which is, I've called it data warehousing or data provisioning. Okay. So when that data is now nice and clean, that's when we're able to turn that data into information, whether that's through various business intelligence tools, data science. Now that we might want to. So the way I see it is, we've got reports that will give us insights into historical information, or we might do some modeling with that to do some predictive analysis, like predict the future or whatever. And then based on that information, we then make decisions. Okay. and that's where it becomes knowledge. So we can make decisions at strategic level, we can make it at a tactical level or an operational level. Okay. So that whole process, going back to -2, turning into -2 degrees Celsius, and then someone deciding to wear a coat, that's that data turning into information, and then that information turning into knowledge happens in organizations every day, frequently. Okay. And this is pretty much related to that quote we started off this presentation with: data is the new oil. Just like oil, data has to be analyzed and processed for it to become valuable. Data alone, these numbers, unstructured data just sitting there in their operational systems, data alone is not valuable. We have to do something to it. And that process is that life cycle where we need to do data engineering to ingest it, clean it, test it, transform it, and store it, and then share it. And then we need to, whether it's building reports or doing data modeling, we need to make that data available for consumption. We need to do things to that data and analyze it, and then decisions can be made. Okay. So this is how it's related to that whole, we were talking about oil refining at the start. Okay. So in recent decades, I would say the last 10, 20 years, there's been, massive technological changes. Yeah. So, whether it's improved connectivity globally, more people around the world are now connected to the internet, or it's cloud computing and cloud storage. All of these factors mean that data is now growing larger in volume, it's being captured more frequently, and it's being processed more rapidly. Okay. So because of the significant technological changes, these three things are happening. We need, and another thing might be we're seeing different types of data as well. We're seeing a lot of new types of data. And a nice way to think about this is those of you who were working, I don't know, 20 years ago or more, you would know that the business used to be interested in reporting monthly reports or weekly reports, right? And at best, it'd be end of day report. That would be like, an amazing achievement to get if you could get an end of day report coming out. But now we're seeing across various industries, we're seeing requirements of real-time updates down to the millisecond. So people want to know what's happening down to the millisecond, like between various data sets. I have examples in my own, my own client, which is a satellite company. They want to know about connectivity, performance metrics down to the milliseconds. And I'm sure across the industry, that's what we're seeing. We want real-time updates rather than, end of day or weekly or monthly. And that is, why we're hearing nowadays, we've been hearing about how data is becoming more and more important. And that follows on to my next question, and that's an open question. So let's look at, why is data so important? We went through that end-to-end process, comparing it to oil being refined, data being analyzed. So that process of turning data into information and turning it into knowledge involves a lot of things, which I've mentioned a couple of examples here, like data ingestion, data cleansing, testing the data, and much more. But why are organizations looking to do this end-to-end process, turning data into information and into knowledge? Why are they looking to do this better than their competitors? So any reflections on that, John?
Yes, I think more and more organizations are using the data that's at their fingertips to inform their decisions, really. And that might be decisions around staffing or products that they might offer. But I guess depending on the industry, those decisions are being made either very quickly in real time, sometimes not even by humans. So if we look at like aerospace, or if we looked at certain technologies, or we look at medicine, there's probably data that's being ingested by systems in those organizations that needs to be dealt with real time. And even financial services, for example, traders will have prices for certain that will apply on certain instruments, but it will only exist at a given price for a certain time. And it's not always about traders these days, of course, because algo trading can can replace the human. So having all that data effectively means that, and having the right data at the right time means that you're more informed and you can hopefully make better decisions.
Brilliant. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Um, and in my presentation, I haven't mentioned anything about AI, but I know everyone's talking about AI, and we go to many conferences, and AI is pretty much the main topic, right? But AI in itself, relies on good quality data, and large data sets. The larger the data sets, the better you can train these AI LLM. So yeah, and everything you mentioned is, yeah, exactly. So this is true. So it all boils down to the decisions. So if you can make your decisions better, faster, and more frequently than your competition, that would naturally translate into more profitability. So you get a competitive edge over your rivals, and if you get competitive edge over your rivals, you'll get more profits. So this kind of explains why organizations are, whether it's building data products, working on, prioritizing their data projects, trying to get their data clean, trying to, use the latest technology so they can do things faster, do things more efficiently. The end point is that everyone, especially the larger organizations, they're all recognizing that we need to invest into big data technologies to make sure that we get that competitive edge over our rivals. Okay. So then that quite neatly allows us to move over to the next section, which is what is the need for a data BA? Now, there are many definitions of a data BA. Someone might say a data BA is someone who's a hybrid data analyst and a business analyst. That's not my definition, by the way. I just want to make it clear. In my presentation, a data BA is someone who I would say is a business analyst with a specialism in big data technologies. Yeah, that's my definition. I just want to be clear with everyone before I start. So, like I said, some people would say it's a business analyst who's really good at analyzing data. Someone might say it's a data analyst who's got a BA skill set. But for me, it's a business analyst with a specialism in in big data technologies. So I specifically mentioned big data because, yeah, there's different categories when it comes to data. So, one of the things I want to also mention is, I think the BA role is very, misunderstood by people that are not in the BA community. And John, you might agree with me. I don't know, because I've been places where someone would say business analyst. That means you're very good at data and building reports. But that's not a business analyst, right? A business analyst skills. It might be a skill that a business analyst will have, but it's not something that a BA is, right?
Yeah, it's very similar to like saying a pilot only lands a plane when actually
Yeah.
they've done all that stuff to get them to the point where they can land it. And and obviously there's things that happen afterwards. And I think very similar to a BA in that, yeah, we do write requirements, but there's loads of stuff we do before that, and there's loads of things we do afterwards as well.
Exactly. So that's my main point here. So a lot of people say BAs are just write requirements, but before you write requirements and after you write requirements, there's a lot of high value activities that we have to do. And to do those activities, we need to dig into our toolkit, which is, there's many things, whether it's running a workshop, whether it's gathering requirements or, carrying out surveys, interviews. There's different tools out there, and it's not always a standard approach. It depends on the organization we're working in and the context of the project. So, just writing the requirements is the what, but a business analyst is also involved in the why, the who, the how, and the when, and much more. So, one of the things I try to encourage everyone is to give business analysts the autonomy to be versatile in their approach. Don't just let them don't just think of them as they just sit there and write requirements and they're gonna take notes in a meeting take the minutes down. A BA has a lot of value to add to organizations, and they need to be given the autonomy to be versatile. Okay. So I'm giving you some examples of, some examples of problems that data BAs solve. I've got a couple of examples here. These are real life examples actually from my own experience as a data BA. I'll read a few. So the first one they're saying, someone's looking to the first one on the left, someone's looking to launch a new app. They need to store their application data securely. And they come to a data BA. Someone is saying their data is incorrect. They need to, and that incorrect data is impacting their data modeling. They want this to be fixed ASAP. Someone's saying their data takes too long to query and it's expensive. Then there's someone else is saying, oh, they want a new dashboard developed so they can get some insights on cost savings. Okay. And then the final one there is someone's asking for access to some customer data via a new API. They believe that it's going to increase orders, the orders that the organization is getting. This is just to give you a flavor of the type of problems that come to a data BA. Now, some of them are very complex, right? Some of them, you might need to get quite a few. You as a data BA, you need to know who to get into the room and discuss, look at the problem and really facilitate the problem solving exercise, right? But some of them, they're quite straightforward, right? You just have to, the new dashboard, for example, it might be quite straightforward. They just need to get access to certain data sets, and you need to write out the requirements, give it to a reporting developer who can build the report, and they can check the acceptance criteria, and everything's it's all happy days. But some things might be far more complex. There might be some disagreement between stakeholders. There might be pushback, like I don't want this. Someone might not want this. And these are that's why I try to give just a flavor of the type of problems that a data BA will face. And depending on the complexity and depending on the type of problem, a data BA would approach it appropriately. Okay. So in this next slide, what I'm doing is I'm just summarizing. I'm categorizing actually the problems into two buckets. Okay. We have bugs, which is issues with existing products or features. And then we have new data features or new data products. Okay. So these are the two kind of things, two categories of problems that I deal with in my own roles, but I'm sure others might have other categories. So let's start with the bugs on the left. When we have, I'm giving some examples of issues. You might have a data pipeline failure. You might have a data quality issue, so incorrect data, as we mentioned, or queries are running really, really slow. So these are things like, problems with the existing infrastructure. So that end-to-end life cycle that we showed earlier of data turning into information and knowledge, something's gone wrong. It could be wrong data, incorrect data, something's slowing down, something's broken, something's just not working, something's missing. So a good data BA, in my opinion, some data BAs might say, oh, that's not my problem. I only deal with, new features. That's not, I don't want to deal with this. Leave that to the technical people to sort it out. But I think that, a good data BA should be involved, okay? Because you should take some ownership and autonomy to kind of be flexible. So a good data BA, they should, document the issue with clarity, which requires, I put it here, simplifying complex information. Something that I find, and you might agree with me, John, on this, is one of the the most valuable skill that a BA has is simplifying complex information, because sometimes you find people you go places, people use a lot of jargon, a lot of technical words, and they complicate things just to sound smart, right? But the reality is when those who can explain complex information in a simple way, those are the real intelligent ones, in my opinion. I think and I think a BA is one of those people that, this is something that we do on a daily basis.
I agree. I think if you can explain something that's complex in a simple way, I think it shows that you understand the problem or the situation. Whereas,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's actually, I think that's a quote by Albert Einstein. Yeah, something like, if you can explain it, then it means you understand it, right? Um, so yeah, so a good data BA, they'll start by documenting the issue, keeping all the stakeholders informed. It doesn't mean that the data BA doesn't have to go out there and actually fix the issue. If they can, that's a bonus. But I don't. The expectation isn't for you to fix the issue, but it's to kind of like use your BA skills to really add value to the organization. So whether it's uh, just getting the person that's got the problem in touch with the person that knows how to solve it, and managing that information, translating the technical information to the non-technical user, and vice versa. And most very importantly, taking feedback to make sure that we can prevent this issue from occurring again. That's really important. Okay. And then that's the approach on bugs. When it comes to new data features, so these are things like it could be a new report, it could be a new data source, it could be a new column on a table, it could be, think of something that pipe end-to-end life cycle, and think of a new pipeline or a new data set or something new, or a new report, let's say, or a new data model. I've got some examples here, like exactly what I've just said. um, and how does a good BA go about it? And you start off by these are just some examples of things that you can do, but I like to. It could be a facility, it could be a workshop if it's something very big, like someone wants to build multiple APIs to uh, expose new data sets to some clients, or it could just be a 1 hour meeting between you and the key stakeholders. But really dive deep into the topic behind, and this is where you ask the questions: why is this needed? Um, and you ask why it's needed. Sorry, just 1 second. So, and that's fine. So yeah, so like I said, this is where you ask the question why something is needed. And I find process mapping and diagrams really interesting and exciting. I think a lot of business analysts enjoy that as well, using tools like Lucid, Miro. I don't know what do you call it, John?
I think I call it Miro actually, but
Miro.
don't take my word for it. That's an accurate,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
pronunciation.
I call it Miro as well. I don't know if it's Miro, but yeah. So yeah, this is where you can really use your tools to kind of ask questions and document the problem or document the request, or you can use some standardized templates, questionnaires, to make sure that you're asking the right questions and you're getting the right information, and then you document it, whether that's a Word document or Jira, or again, is that Jira? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of approach that a good data BA takes. They have they understand that they will look at the problem, and then they will use their toolkit and apply the right solution. Um, Another category, I've put here bugs and new data features. Something else that a data BA might be involved in is maintenance activities. So this could be the platform. We have various technology that manages the platform. So one might need to get upgraded to a newer version, etc. So and a BA might need to manage that change. Okay, because that is a change at the end of the day. So what I'm trying to pose here is that data BAs, they tick all the boxes. Okay, when just looking back into our presentation, we were talking about organizations are now prioritizing data projects and building data products. But in order to deliver these data projects or build data products, you need you need someone who can, like we said, simplify complex information, understand the bigger picture, facilitate problem solving, and also lead and motivate others, and enable business changes. So, like I said before, we are not only about a business analyst is not only about documenting requirements. The business analyst is involved from concept to all the way to delivery when it comes to business change. And we enable and facilitate business change meaningfully. So that's why I believe a data BA is now highly in demand. And that's why we're seeing, many, when you look at job descriptions, you see sometimes it won't specifically mention data BA. It will say business analyst. But, when you go into dive deep into the specific requirements, you'll see things like, oh, we want them to have SQL knowledge or analytical experience on a specific analytical tool, etc. So that's why, I believe that's why we're seeing in recent times a higher and higher demand for the data BA.
I feel like that just reinforces the importance that the client's putting on your role at that point, Afsar, in terms of obviously data is very important to certain stakeholders and certain clients. Therefore, when they're going out and asking for a data BA, they're really emphasising the data part of your business analysis skill set. In a similar way, if they ask for a process BA, it's not that they don't want all the other skills that you might have, but they really want to focus on the process in that situation.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not like because if it was just the data part they needed, they could just get someone who's like I don't know, just specializes in data. But because it's major business changes that especially specifically for data that they need, that's why they emphasize on the data skills. So like I said, I'm working specifically for a team that is a data team. So they manage the end-to-end central data team that manages all the data across the organization. But some data BAs, they might be working for a specific department like finance or marketing or whatever, and their role might just say business analyst, but a significant portion of their role will be to understand data and really because the data is just becoming more and more important over the last few years as we've seen. So I think the next we move over to the final section of this presentation, which is how do you become a data BA? Okay, so some people might be BAs and they want to become they want to specialize in data and they want to up their skills. Or some people might not even be a BA at all and they want to become a data BA. Whatever the situation, let's just I've got a few reflections on this, so I'll go through that. Let's look at the skill set. So I think with any role, you can split up the skill set into these two things: personal qualities and technical skills. You might see it somewhere else as soft skills and hard skills, which is another way to put it. So personal qualities, these are things that you can't really, I don't know, you can't really study for, or you can't really you can't do a course on it or read a book about it. Well, you can to be honest, you can read books about personal quality, but these are like, I would say, I think there's a word for it, tacit skills, right? It means it can't really be written down. It's something that is deeper. And technical skills, these are things that you can actually study or practice and develop, and so when it comes to a data BA, the things on the left, these are like personal qualities that a business analyst in general needs to have, right? So things like interpersonal skills, problem solving skills. When I say problem solving, having that problem solving mindset where you know how to approach a problem, you know how to see the problem. Communication, leadership is really important. Okay, I don't think many people realize, like, as a BA, you may have to delegate tasks to different people, and if you don't know how to do that, and not just delegate tasks, but also motivate people, and coach them almost. That's something that a BA, I feel like, has to do, and people don't realize that BAs have to do that.
I agree. I mean, they're almost sometimes, particularly in the context of data, you might actually be coaching stakeholders on the importance of why you should be looking at data to sort of augment and supplement the analysis.
Yeah.
It isn't always appreciated. So I definitely agree with that sort of like leadership, that thought leadership, as it were, is really, really important, as are the other things you've got.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote. I've heard this quote before. They say a good leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way, right? And uh, if you're just writing requirements and sending out requirements to people, or I don't know, the Scrum Master is just delegating the tasks out, that's just telling people, oh, do this, do that, do it. But sometimes you really have to, go travel with the developers, really, show them that we're working on this together. It's not just like, I write requirements and give it to you and then you work on it. We do this together, we celebrate it together, we struggle on it together. And I think that's something that's really important. And then, got some other things there like critical thinking, not just taking everything as yes, 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 asking why and saying no. Sometimes you should say no if if you strongly believe against an idea or a question. And yeah, flexibility and versatility. So my current role, I'm actually a Scrum Master and a BA, which is unusual. I don't know if many other people are in that scenario, but that's because of my versatility and because I managed to take that role on 2 years ago, and then you got other things like being organized and stakeholder management. But so these kind of things everyone's kind of familiar with. To be a good BA, I think you really need these kind of skills. That's my the top skills. But these are things which are often referred to as soft skills, which are really hard to um, you know, it's hard to get from a university degree or I don't know, like a course that you do online or a program. It's things that you develop with time and experience. And I would strongly say things that you do outside of work, like, whether you're part of a club or a sports club or voluntary charity organization or whatever, those kind of places can, sometimes give you these skills. And the technical skills, I guess, is where, you know, for a data BA, it kind of sets you apart. Um, the key one, the key skill there that I just want to highlight is, I would say, SQL. SQL is really important to be a data BA. But of course, using other things, having an understanding of other things like database management, data analysis, whether that's Excel or Tableau or some sort of advanced analytical tool, whatever it is, it's very important to have that knowledge. And then I've just put some examples of things. Understand knowledge about APIs, knowledge about a specific domain. So, like, I don't know, finance, marketing, etc. So, but these are the two kind of things. When it comes to any role, this is how we look at it. Both sets of skills are really important. But for me personally, I think what gives someone an edge is the personal qualities. Because technical skills, they can often be developed quite easily, more easily than the personal quality. Technical skills, you can do a LinkedIn learning course or I don't know, Udemy, Coursera. There's so many resources available online to kind of develop our technical skills. But when it comes to those personal qualities, those are things that sometimes you might need a coach, you might need a mentor, you might need you might really need to. These are things that it's quite hard to pick up from a program. These are the two kind of my reflections on the two kind of skill sets that you need to succeed.
It's quite interesting actually. So I'm seeing that, and because I mean I've sort of done some thought previously, and I think we had a session about the competencies of a BA, and certainly all the things that I see on the left hand side would have been part of that, and will be others, of course. But it's interesting that you call those out, and I would agree. And I think on the other side with the SQL, I think it's easy at first hand. I think, as you were saying, SQL being the most important. There, I'm thinking, do I agree with that? And actually, as I was thinking about it, I would agree, because I think all of those, perhaps it ties in quite nicely with the data analysis part of data analysis and visualization. But having SQL skills gives you the ability to actually go and interrogate it yourself in that first hand. And it is, I think that's probably one example of taking your left-hand side BA skills, supplementing it with the ability to interrogate the data yourself using SQL, and then using your other set of BA skills to almost visualize it and package it up into something useful for the for the consumer, really.
Yeah, yeah, and SQL, like I would say probably 10, 15 years ago, it might have been not, it might have been just, it might not have been that important. But now I think SQL is really important. And I know people that have done like, I don't know, like a 4 or 5 hour online course. They knew nothing about SQL, and then they have the basic understanding to kind of understand how to write a query, how to do different transformations to data, and so that's why I personally strongly recommend it. It's not you must have it. If you've got good data BA skills and good understanding of how the different the big data technologies out there, things like AWS and Snowflake and various other tools out there, then you'll manage. But I would say, for me personally, I just think in my own journey, just knowing SQL helped me the most. It was the most valuable skill that I had in my personal journey. But there's also Python there as well, which and other coding languages are very useful as well. But it's not a must. So I don't want someone that's not technical to think, oh, data BA is just impossible for me. No, it's not. It's not. If you're a business analyst, you're more than halfway there. These things can quite easily be picked up. I can reassure you that. Okay. So I'm just gonna, I don't know how much time we have, but I'm just summarizing a few more. So I think I've got 2 or 3 slides left. So when it comes to the data BA role, I'm summarizing this as 3 key pillars. Okay. So, and like I said, this can apply to any role, not just your data BA role. I think the 3 important things are your experience, your learning, and your networking. Okay. These 3 things are the most, like, you really need to go on a reflection and think about these things when it comes to any career that you're in. So starting with experience, I love this quote. Great things never come from comfort zones. So you really have to try and tailor your experience to get more exposure to data. If it is a data BA that you want to become, you really need to reflect on all the projects that you've delivered or all the different roles that you have had, and really see how much data experience you have and where the gaps are, and then really try and tailor your exposure to data. And when I say expose yourself to data, it could be as simple as Excel or as complex as running advanced SQL queries. But you really have to be brave and versatile. And like I said before, you go beyond just writing the requirements. You really have to get out your comfort zone. Don't feel too scared or nervous or feel like it's impossible. It is possible. You just have to make a plan and go ahead. And then that's where your learning comes in, the middle one. And is another quote that so I've put quite a few quotes here, sorry, but these are just some of my favorite quotes and that really helped shape my thinking. So this quote is: "The secret to mastery in any field is to forever remain a student." Because, and I say this to a lot of young people that come out of university or college, and I tell them education doesn't end when you start your career. There's no end to learning. You should continue, whether it's getting certification, or just reading books and watching some YouTube videos, or even I went through your channel, John, and it's so educational for someone that's looking to become a business analyst. So there's so much knowledge available to everyone. We need to go out there and seek, and there's no end to learning. Some of my recommendations that I make when it comes to certification, I love the BCS BA modules. I really benefited from them myself because I did them. And also there is a course called BCS Data Management Essentials, which really dives deep into basic data modeling, and that whole process that we looked at from data turning into information and knowledge. It really dives deep into those elements. So I really recommend those two courses.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the BCS modules. They're always quite digestible, quite easy to understand.
Yeah.
And there's different ways of for people to learn as well. So yeah, really echo what you said, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I know when I did them, they were in person in the classroom. And I don't know if they still do. I'm pretty sure they do in person in classroom.
Yeah, I'd expect so.
Yeah, I think in person is a lot better than online because you also get to meet people physically, like other fellow BAs, and make friends and discuss ideas and whatnot. So definitely try and do it in person. And that then moves over to the networking element, right? The networking is really important. And something that I always tell people is you should focus on quality over quantity. Sometimes people go to conferences or even online, they just send out lots of requests to as many people as they can because they just want to increase the number of, I don't know, connections that they have or thing. But that's quantity, right? How do we build quality connections? So quality connections are built by actually interacting with your connections. So it could be something basic like coffee or lunch with friends or colleagues, etc. Or it could be publishing some information online, right? Like really showcasing ideas and experiences and knowledge that you have, and really trying to add value to other people's lives. And it's a two-way street. You share knowledge with others, and you also gain knowledge from others, but you really need to make an effort to keep in touch with your network. And that way you'll have quality connections rather than just a really big number of connections. And when people know you and you know them, then when an opportunity arises, they'll think of you, or you might be able to help someone as well. And I'm a big LinkedIn is just I don't know. I just find it really, really useful. All my roles, there's so many things that I managed to get through LinkedIn. I think many people don't, many people don't understand the power of LinkedIn. But those who do, they definitely utilize it really well. You can get your reflections on that. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I would totally agree. I mean, I think there's so much out there. LinkedIn is a really good example of that. I mean, and it's interesting. I mean, when it comes to networking, I think an example I would share as well, and it definitely relates back to when I was learning about data and business analysis and SQL.
Mm-hmm.
A real good network to connect on it is a quality one over quantity one in this case. Go and speak to the development teams if you're working with them, and typically, they'll have the skills to tell you what SQL commands you might need to put in and how you might need to link the data that they've got in their tables. And of course, that education you get from those individuals is based on the context of something you're looking at already. And definitely, I'm really echoing what you're saying as well, is that from my experience of working with some developers over the years, building that relationship, learning from them, but then when they see your analysis output and see that actually it's based on the insight that they've given you and the skills that they've given you, that can start to reinforce the relationship building. And I've got plenty of friends. I'm glad to say that I share a beer with every now and then, or a drink, or a coffee, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That started life as actually someone sitting on the development team. I was on the BA team, wandered over and asked a few questions on how I could help them.
Exactly, and it's really important to keep in touch with your old colleagues, right? I'm just thinking, well, once you mentioned that, I was just thinking of so many people that, unfortunately, I've actually lost touch with that I need to probably connect with again. And and even if it doesn't mean that, we shouldn't only have meetings with people where we can get value, like oh, I want to get a job or I want to get this. Sometimes it's just a human thing to do, right? I catch up with someone, have a good time, and and yeah, who knows what it leads to. So I go over to my final slide, which is basically what this whole presentation was about. So the first thing I'm trying to say in my presentation is that the demand for data SMEs, so data subject matter experts, is on the rise, without a doubt. Like, and we've explored some of the reasons why that is, because whether that's internet is available everywhere, we've got it's available globally, or nearly everyone has smartphones nowadays. Technology has significantly advanced in the recent decades, and that's leading to many things where organizations are realizing that data they need to prioritize data projects. They need to prioritize building data products, because it gives them the competitive edge over their rivals. They're able to make their decisions faster, better, and more frequently, and that translates to more profits. So that was some of those factors that we looked at, and within those, that big demand for data SMEs. So data SMEs could be data engineers, data scientists, data governors, various types of roles, data program manager, data architect. There's various roles in this data bucket when we look at data SMEs. And one of those roles is the data business analyst. And there is definitely a need for a data business analyst because, when it comes to dealing with projects, data projects, you need someone that understands the bigger picture, someone that can solve ambiguity and simplify complex information. Have the business analyst toolkit where you can really deliver change from concept all the way to delivery, not just writing down what's needed. Because if that was the case, we just go around writing down what everyone needs. We don't do that. We dive into the why, the how, the what, the when. And finally, the last thing that I want to, I hope I can, the listeners can take away from this presentation is that you have what it takes to succeed as a data BA. But you have to be brave, you have to be versatile on your approach to work, and really make use of all the tools out there, whether it comes to networking or learning. You can definitely succeed. Whether you have no tech data skills or you have some data skills, you can definitely succeed as a data BA. So that's pretty much sums up my presentation. So I guess any questions from yourself or anyone?
Well, I just want to end really by thanking you again. I mean, it's been really interesting. I've been privileged to be able to listen to your presentation, especially as someone who was at the conference. And I'm not sure if I was presenting at the same time, but I was certainly not able to take in all the sessions. And I'm sure there's others that fall into that bucket as well. So it's firstly, the gratitude of you taking time out to actually present this as well, and hopefully between us we can share it with others that might have also missed the session at the conference. And I think really just a number of the points that you're making all the way through, really, they're all resonating, and I can definitely back up everything you're saying there in terms of data expertise, perhaps even lending itself to a real focus and a sort of like a specialism, if you like, in data for BAs is a really good and an open option for them. And data anyway is a topic that I think as BAs we just can't ignore. And the better we can get at acquiring it, consuming it, presenting it, and investigating upon it, then we'll be better as being a BA as a result. So thank you. It's been really really interesting, and really appreciate the time you've taken.
Thank you so much.